There are those topics that are only brought to the forefront through tragedy. The unfortunate reminders that a proactive approach may have avoided the ultimate. It is what you do with those circumstances that change the future. He was a junior high football player who showed up for a preseason practice.
My son Kendrick went to his first day of football practice back in 1995. He wasn't ready. He didn't get enough to drink in practice. And he died 18 days later in Arkansas Children's Hospital from multi-system organ failure as a result of heat stroke.
In 2001, Minnesota Viking tackle Corey Stringer was taken off the practice field at training camp. He never recovered from heat stroke. His wife now has a foundation to help fight for the cause.
That research that we had from the Corey Stringer Institute was vital because we changed our rules in 2011 based upon research. We got rid of consecutive two-a-days in football. But then more research came out from our institute. We looked at that research and knew we needed to change once again, that we needed to make our first week even more so restrictive.
We had the Corey Stringer Institute come and do a presentation at our state EMS conference. And from that, we spurred some thoughts about how we can be involved and get the information out to our local EMS services.
And going to schedule a break here in the next couple minutes so that we can stop, cool off for a little bit, and then come back out and finish.
In the state of Arkansas, they have been driven to do something about it, to educate, to make it a priority that children are not at risk. It's a difficult cause because it's so much about prevention. If you wait too long to act, it's too late.
It's very important to know the signs and symptoms because that's going to be your biggest game plan to prevent this. So watching out for kids that are heavy sweaters. Those are kids that need to be paid special attention to. Kids that have had this injury before. Once it happens, they're always susceptible to having it again.
The concept seems common sense when it is explained, but the goal is to make sure it's been explained to everyone involved in sports. Once the lights get turned on game night, the adrenaline takes over. And to stay cerebral enough to be analytical in what you see from kids on the field, that can be difficult. Knowing the signs changes that game.
All of a sudden, they're not running the right play.
Hey Casey, you feeling right? You look very well.
I'm not feeling it today.
But they're, you know that they are usually on par with things. Cramping, nausea, vomiting. Kids that are just complaining of not feeling well, feeling like they say that they have a fever. Those are all signs and symptoms that you need to pay special attention to and try to get them into a cool environment as quickly as possible.
The connections to the community are also at the core of the concept. The high school's affiliation with the local EMT unit and that they are on the same page becomes paramount at those times. When the moment is there, you better be organized.
We really would like to encourage school administrators and coaches and athletic trainers to engage conversations with their local EMS agencies to develop protocols so each one knows what role that each plays in the treatment of this particular illness.
So they have worked to put programs in place that keep this front of mind.
Allow the kids to take the pads off, allow them to cool off, allow them to let that heat escape from their body. Encourage the athletes to wear moisture-wicking clothing. If they are saturated, allow them to change on breaks.
Those rules, those principles make sense. They seem simple. What makes it different is when you are already the victim. A family that never got to see their son grow up becomes the force that spreads the word.
You know, as a parent, it's important that you take ownership of your child and your child's health, and also attempt to influence what's around you where you see that things need to be changed. Check with the school. Make sure that they're allowing the athletes and all students to stay hydrated throughout the school day. Studies show that 97% of children arrive at after-school practices already dehydrated.
It becomes a mission that takes wings, that builds a momentum and a pride that this topic is important because our children are important.
An emergency action plan, you want to have those in place for all athletic venues, practice or game. Everyone knows that during the school day you have policies and procedures for any event that may happen. The school day is covered, but what happens when the school day is over and you still have kids on campus?
That's what they're doing, changing the way people think, reminding people heat stroke is preventable, and making sure that everything is being done to allow kids to be kids.
By more voices and more people working, we're not going to hear about athletes dying. We're going to hear about athletes' lives being saved, and no matter at what point in the process was missed, if we didn't prevent it, we know that through emergency procedures that they're going to save lives.
Life to the Max is brought to you by Life Touch, photography for a lifetime.